from the glorious city of Melbourne
and live from the USA,
your superstar hosts, Michael Sopel.
I'm going to say we play and win a final.
Sam Manhattan.
The top four.
Like it.
Carlton.
There it is. There it is. I was waiting for it.
This is In the Ballpark.
Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Ballpark. It's Sam Manhattan back again, back home in Melbourne after a massive weekend last weekend. And of course, Michael Sopel joining us from San Diego. How are you, my friend?
Sammy, wowee, I have been absolutely loving watching the content from Adelaide, South Australia. My word, didn't you get up to some shenanigans? I cannot wait to hear all the nitty-gritty details. And Sammy, in honour of the Gold Coast Suns, for all those viewers out there, I am wearing, yes, the pink salmon. Oh, what a win by the Sunnies. I know it was North Melbourne, but definitely getting the pink polo on. It is in fashion, and I hope they wear that jumper again, Sammy. I must be honest, down at the Barossa Valley, same colour as a beautiful glass of rosé. Didn't the Suns wear it?
They reminded me of a soccer team, just the way. So I think this gives the licence to teams to be a bit more creative and out there with some of their jumpers, and want to see a lot more.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a perfect round for it. I like little celebration of footy. Go wild. And they're going wild on the field as well. So we will talk about the round 6 continued on. We'll break down last night's game, the first game, Collingwood and Brisbane at the Gabba. We'll talk about that. But first, just wanted to get into what was a massive weekend and wow. So we started off on Friday morning when we recorded the podcast on that road. Now, I have to apologise now because there was some technical issues with my recording. And then so if you heard in the edit and go, oh, that didn't sound good, that was why. There were a few technical hiccups. But once we got there, it was so fun. I think it's just going to become a yearly tradition now. Now that I've done it, I think I'm going to have to go back. It was just like nothing else. It was the whole town was buzzing. Footy jumpers, colours everywhere from every team that you can imagine. And I think just the vibe in the city was just fun. I think we mentioned this last week on the show. It was like grand final week, except everyone still got a chance.
Everyone was playing.
Yeah. And it was great to go to a game at Adelaide Oval. I have put that up to my second favourite ground in Australia now.
Wow.
Overtaking Marvel and
TIO Stadium. Yep.
MCG is still the number one, but wow, Adelaide Oval really was really good, and I'd love to go there for a night game.
Right.
I'm a bit upset that we were the weather was a tad too hot, I think. It was
right.
30 plus for the weekend, so too hot for footy. And it made it really uncomfortable, and especially to those in the Barossa. But overall, would recommend, and it's only going to get bigger next year. And now that I've been there and seen how it's laid out, it couldn't work anywhere else.
Right.
The way the ground is connected to the city, it is so close. 2 minutes walk and you're in the mouth of the casino. Right. I regret not going on. I seen it again, and I remember it from the last time I was there 3 years earlier. And I'm sure there's probably plenty of these in America, but it was those beer bikes where you sit on the table. It's the table that's got wheels on it. Have you seen them?
Beer bikes?
No. So it's like a table that's got wheels on it, and you're on the road, and everyone's sitting on there pedaling, but you're drinking beer from the table. I've forgotten what they're called, but it was incredible. And
that is sick.
For those watching on YouTube, I picked up some merch. So I got the nice gather round scarf.
Got all the team jumpers. Love it.
The shirt that I'm wearing now has
the clean.
All the teams on the back. Which
that's clean.
I'm not sure if I feel comfortable with an Essendon logo on my back, on my body. It feels
or
a bit
Collingwood.
disgusting. Yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah, there's a few.
The fantastic weekend. It just went too quick, and we're already at another round. So I guess we should get into the news, and we'll start off with some interesting selection news out of Richmond. If you're not across it, they named Noah Bolter, who's currently up before the courts for a assault charge. I think he hit someone outside of a nightclub allegedly, and he's pleaded guilty for it. And Richmond have been allowed to select him, which I think is a disgrace. I think if you're before the courts or anything like that, especially an assault charge, or we go on about this AFL being really strict with other things and silly things like flipping people off and stuff. But hey, if
$20,000 fines.
Yeah, if you assault someone outside a pub, hey, you still can play. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't know why the decision has been given to Richmond. The AFL should have just put a blanket thing.
Yeah.
If you've got any kind of legal proceedings, especially with something you're pleading guilty to, and that it's not, some legal mess that you're caught up in with you're totally innocent in, and it's not even to do, but this is a physical assault that's happened outside a venue. So I think the decision should have been by the AFL, and we shouldn't have been debating about it over the last week or so. But what are your thoughts? And have you seen anything similar in American sport where players have been caught up in legal trouble?
Yeah, it does happen. I would say it happens more in the off-season, based on what I've seen. And by the time the season does roll around, there has already been a lot of I guess different parties stepping in and ensuring that it doesn't become a louder issue on the field, whether that's a club enforced sanction or if that's a league enforced sanction, that typically is cleaned up before the season starts. The best part about it is that, yeah, sure, it does get some airtime, but it doesn't become a bigger story. But I'm sure there's examples of it that happen in season. I think the big thing in this circumstance is the fact that we're talking about it, Sam, and the issue is that it's the whole thing where you think about the AFL is like the precedent setter for all other leagues in Australia.
Yep.
And if you're having players that are doing that kind of nonsense and then are literally, awaiting trial and they're still able to play football, that's a concern, because it then becomes a precedent in other leagues as well. And it actually becomes a risk for a lot of players, across many levels. So I just worry about the message that it sends. But also, if we just talk about strictly Richmond, do they even need to play someone like a Noah Bolter either? Why couldn't they take a stand as well and say, we're actually not going to play him because, let's give another guy a chance and let's wait until this murky water goes over. Yeah.
Play a kid that hasn't been able to get an opportunity. I just feel like you're rewarding someone that should not be allowed. And you're right, it does send a bad message, local level, or even other players at the moment who think, oh, well, next time they get in sort of that situation, hey, I can get away with it because I'm an AFL player.
Right.
I'm still going to get selected. Yeah, I just think it's I think it's really, really ironic that they I mean, if he had done that on the footy field, he wouldn't be playing.
No way.
The way that they've been the way that they've been so strict on that. So there is lots of issues with it. No.
Not a good look.
Okay, so round 6 continues on, and we'll talk about Thursday night footy. It was Collingwood who were the victors at the Gabba last night, packed Gabba to round 6 already. Collingwood won by 52 points in the end, 16-9, 105 to 7-11, 53. A mammoth second half from the Magpies, and really putting questions on Brisbane, who just faded. It was a really tight game up until the second half, low-scoring affair. really looked like a really good game, a good tussle. And then Collingwood just tore the midfield. It made them look like they weren't there. And this is the big, massive Brisbane midfield that can't really make any errors at the moment. And, wow. Daniel McStay with 3 goals. Jamie Elliott, 2 goals, 3. Disposals-wise for Collingwood, Dacos, 38. 38 and a goal. And his brother, 30 and a goal as well. Steele Sidebottom, aging like a fine wine, 26. What do you think about Collingwood?
Wow.
Is this just karma for me talking them down earlier in the year?
Yeah, well, I thought after round 1 or opening round with GWS that I was probably talking them up too much, but now we're really starting to see the fruits and, why they have gone all in, particularly in this season because, yeah, as you can see, when they put up performances like this, they can beat anyone and they can beat them away from home. My big query going into Gabba round was like, can Collingwood replicate their MCG form elsewhere on the road? Because they had that, as we saw, that massive dust up from GWS and we're like, can they beat a quality opponent on the road? They did that against Sydney. They did it this week against Brisbane. I mean, Brisbane, we knew they weren't travelling, like they weren't playing their absolute best footy. And let's be honest, Sam, not many teams, well, there's a few teams, but not many teams are peaking right now and should be peaking right now. You should be peaking, obviously, at the pointy end of the season, but Brisbane just keeps stacking up wins. But this was definitely a reality check. I think just on Brisbane, I don't have any major concerns for them going forward. I think this was the dust up they probably needed to have.
Yeah.
It was a surprise at the Gabba because they're typically pretty good there, but you said it, like their midfield was all at sea, that really dominant midfield, and as a result, their backline was really under pressure. And I just thought Collingwood's willingness to move the ball super quick, but then they're also their tackling pressure. I think there's a clip of Dane Zorko getting run down, just taking a few too many extra steps and just some uncharacteristic errors in their backline, some drop marks here and there, and those small forwards, those small to medium forwards like Bobby Hill and Brody Myercheck and Jamie Elliott, they're just so dangerous at ground level. So I feel like the Pies have got a really good mix at the moment. That was Jamie Elliott's 200th game and wasn't that a beauty as well? I think his whole family was there. He's been through some stuff and it was, his resilience was really on show. I mean, I didn't think he would get to 200 games, Sam, a couple of years ago. Just felt like he was really getting injured all the time. So it's wonderful for him on an individual note that he's been able to do this and be a one club player. But yeah, I think you look at Nick Dacos and you think, my word. I think the big debate coming into this game was, what club has the better brother duo? Is it Brisbane with the Ashcroft brothers or is it the Dacos brothers? And you got to say right now it's the Dacos brothers led by Nick. Yeah. Led by Nick, but maybe 5-6 years down the track we might be saying something else, but he is one of the hottest players in the competition and he's just showing why and it's not just his ball use all over the ground, Sam. It's actually his delivery inside forward 50. He's just lacing up players willy-nilly and he gets in those chains of handball and his speed's amazing. The footy world was mocking him when he was cramping up in that very opening round, but I think he's the one laughing now. I mean, he's got the football on the string, Sammy, and Collingwood in very good form right now.
Must make you very nervous for the following week, which is, of course, the big Anzac Day clash.
A little bit. Come on, Setters.
Well, so, all right. So, yes, massive win for Collingwood. This season is uncharacteristically just insane, right? As it always is for the last couple of years because, still don't know, still can't get a gauge on teams yet. It's still very, very early on. Okay, today's a big clash as we're recording on Good Friday. The Good Friday Superclash, North Melbourne and Carlton. The ins for North Melbourne, George Wardlaw comes back in. Ooh. Riley Hardman has been omitted in for Carlton. Blake Acres, Elijah Hollins and Lewis Young out. Sam Doherty, Harry Mackay and Brodie Kemp And can I just say off the back, poor Harry Mackay, so unlucky. He played, I think it was in the first 15 minutes of the game, and bang, he was already down with a concussion. And so hopefully 2 weeks or whatever the concussion protocols are at the moment, hopefully he can come back in shortly, because I'm sure it'll be roaring to get back as soon as he can. Interesting, last week, finally, I get to see a Blues win. I didn't expect it would be round 5 in Adelaide in 31-degree heat against West Coast. That was not on my fortune teller card this year. But good to get into winning ways, but I'm not exactly entirely convinced yet. West Coast are pretty deplorable. So although in saying that we did finish off the game pretty well, which is the second half problem had been, I would say that probably the last quarter was, but that could just be because West Coast just took the foot away. So I really nervous about this one. And at the same time in the Barossa, North Melbourne really gave a decent crack at the Suns, who are one of the hottest teams at the moment. So I am nervous. I feel like we're taking on a different North this year compared to the last couple of big clashes against them. And so this is a danger game. And if we let this one slip, pressure is immediately back on. So we have to get this one done. And nervous about it going to Marvel today. It's going to be a fantastic crowd. Of course, raising money for the Good Friday appeal, 3:20 this afternoon. What are your thoughts, Michael?
Oh, firstly, I love this time slot. I know it's a bit of it took the AFL a while, and I think North Melbourne were the driver for this, and I think it's been going now, Sam, for at least a good 5-6 years. So, I think it's a great time slot. I think it's also good that they do it during the day. They allow people to, roll into the stadium and still be able to contribute to the Good Friday appeal. A lot of memories heading down to our local, our beach house, and all of the charity collectors on the road with their tins out. And it's a fantastic thing they do every year. And I know Channel 9 for the longest time were doing, different call centres, and the footy show would jump in on that as well. So there's a lot of good people doing good things, Sam. And shout out to the Rock Lobster, Rory Lobb. He's put the Good Friday appeal logo at the back of his head. I feel like it's different every single week, but credit to him for doing it. I like it. I like it.
I'll be surprised next year if he hasn't signed an advertising space on the back of his head. Is in prime rotation at the moment.
Well, you were talking about Fogarty last week with the beer stuff. I mean, I could see a big VB logo at the back there.
So yes, it's going to be an interesting one. North Melbourne, have you seen any improvement from them? I know they've been an up and down.
Oh, look, last week they were really impressive, as you alluded to, against the Suns. I think getting George Wardlaw back, he's a really high quality player, and it's these kind of players, they just need to get gelling in the midfield and forward to centre, and just allow them to have game time together to really build that confidence up. And I think North are we didn't want to jump on them when they bet Melbourne, because as we know, Melbourne were at a pretty low ebb at the time and still are. But yeah, there's something different there for North, and I think at Marvel Stadium, they put up a stinker against Sydney. They responded last week. Can they respond this week and actually take it right up to North to the think Blues?
This is such a big fixture for them. North don't get many feature games at all, or free-to-air games, or big, spotlight games. So I think Clarko is definitely going to use that as motivation, and this is their big chance to come out. A big crowd. It's been really big in the last couple of years, right in the middle of school holidays. So, so I am very nervous going into this one today. So I'm going to hang on to the Blues. What are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm still not convinced with North. So I am going to tip the Blues, but I think I think it's going to be a good game, Sam. Yep.
Okay. Moving on to 6:10 tonight at Optus Stadium in Perth, West Coast Eagles taking on Essendon for the Good Friday night clash. Now, is this the second time we've had a night game on Good Friday now?
I have a feeling that this has happened before. Yeah. And I can't, I do like the West having a later game.
Yeah.
But this one, even as an Essendon fan, I'm not sure. In fact, I am sure it's not good.
In for the Eagles, Jeremy McGovern, Matt Flynn, Tim Kelly and Elijah Hewitt. Out Sandy Brock, Clay Hall, Oscar Allen and Bailey Williams. Essendon have named up one change. Nick Bryan out for Peter Wright.
Yeah, Sammy. Obviously, very sad news about Nick Bryan. He was playing really well. Brad Scott, he likes to play two rucks, so having Sam Draper and Nick Bryan playing together as a tandem has been really interesting. They haven't brought Todd Goldstein in, so clearly he's trusting Sammy Draper to do the ruck work, and potentially big 2-litre Peter will do the ruck work up forward. It's good to see. 2 litre, 2 metre, 2 litre.
It was 2 metre, 2 litre.
2 litre. There's a few different ones we throw around Bomberland. But anyway, good to have Poiter back, big Poiter. But yeah, Sammy boy, Don's good win last week. We both didn't tip it. We thought there would be a bit of a response from the D's. They are really struggling at the moment, but the Dons had to do what they had to do. They'll challenge in the third term, but I thought they stood up really well. I thought the inclusion of Will Setterfield, I said it at the time, I liked it, particularly with some of the one-pace players in the Melbourne midfield. A big body in there is really awesome. And yeah, Setterfield might play a bit of a blanket role on one of those big West Coast midfielders like a Tim Kelly. But yeah, I think the Dons are expected to win this, even though it is in the West. But you just never fully know. But I think West Coast are genuinely struggling at the moment, and to have Oscar Allen out as well doesn't make matters easier.
Yeah, Bombers for me. I think West Coast are in a really interesting spot at the moment, and I think they're letting Melbourne kind of survive at the minute, because if it was Melbourne that were the only team that was winless. Oh, jeez. The anvil is hanging above
steak knives
at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday we move on to Melbourne and Fremantle, 1:20 p.m. at the MCG. In for Melbourne, Colton Tholstrup, Tom Fullerton and Daniel Turner. Out, Jacob Van Rooyen, Jack Henderson and Bailey Fritsch. Fremantle, Oscar McDonald in, out Patrick Voss with the suspension.
Yeah, that was a bit of an ugly look, that Patrick Voss kind of clocking him. But a couple of years ago, I think Fremantle upset Melbourne in this particular fixture, and it was a big deal at the time. So Fremantle aren't necessarily shy of going to the MCG, and I mean they
play at the G too often. So
not too often, no, they really don't. And unfortunately, in that as well, Sammy, with this particular time slot, don't expect 80,000 at this game. Maybe 8,000 would be a good number, but no. Look, it's a tough time slot there. But I think just based on Melbourne's form and based on how well Fremantle are playing now, they've got Shai Bolden back in the side. Played really well against his former side last week, and they're starting to really click. And Josh Tracy in that forward line's looking ominous, and they're just contributors all round in that midfield. Big numbers from Caleb Sarong, Andrew Brayshaw as well. So there's definitely some. They're in form now, Sammy, and I think Fremantle, just based, even though it's away from home, they're expected to win this. So I'm going to tip them by a couple of goals.
Yeah, I think so as well. They've started to show us what they can do, Fremantle, and Melbourne are just at the picking at the moment. They've got a lot of things to work on, but you'd hope it's a competitive outfit from them.
That's what I'm hoping.
They don't just fall over. So yes, Freo with that one. 4:15 Saturday afternoon. Adelaide Crows take on the Giants. at the Adelaide Oval. Really looking good, this one. Adelaide Crows have named in Nick Murray, Sam Berry out, Lockie Scholl and James Peatling with a suspension. No changes named for the Giants as of yet. Really cracking fixture, this one, Michael.
Oh, I like it, Sammy. I think this is going to be a big crowd. It's going to be Adelaide Oval, right? So yeah, they're gonna pack it out. Don't worry about that. And yeah, the Giants had an impressive win against the Saints. The Saints are an informed team of the competition, and the Giants disposed of them pretty easily. And Toby Green got back to his best. He's actually had a really good season this season. It's not that he had a terrible season last season, Sam. It's just that he didn't meet those lofty standards. Obviously, he's getting a little older. The GWS Giant champion and captain, but my word, he was impressive in front of goal, and Jake Stringer was contributing as well. So they're an ominous side at their best, and the big question is, will they travel well? I think Adelaide, they're going to be maybe marginal favourites in this one, but coming off that loss, They can be beaten at the Adelaide Oval, and the Cats were really, really impressive. It was a bit of a shootout, Sammy boy. We like those.
It was a shame the rest of the games that weekend weren't as exciting as that Thursday one. Well, it was a bit ironic, but
one of the games of the year, I would say, already in the early stages.
Yeah. But yeah, if Adelaide can not fall away like they did and can continue that high, quick-moving, high-scoring game that they really brought to the table, it's dangerous. If you can score that much in a game, that's half the battle. But Giants are a high-scoring team like that as well, so hopefully it's another shootout that we see. But I think in my eyes, I think the Giants have proven well so far, and I think they'll be a tad too strong for the Crows.
Yeah, I'm going to tip the Giants as well, but yeah, gosh, tough one, Sammy. If Adelaide show up, they could really blow this one out. But yeah, Giants for me for this one.
7:35 at Marvel Stadium. It's the Tigers taking on the Gold Coast Suns. Dimmer's Cup, really, it's becoming now.
Used to be the Dan Prestia Cup, but it's definitely Dimmer's now. Ooh.
Samson Ryan, Sam Lawler, and of course we mentioned Noah Bolter coming in. Out Jacob Bauer, Tyler Sonsi and Jacob Blight. Gold Coast have named Connor Boudrick and Sam Closeley. Now we know how much Dimmer hates coming to Marvel, but he has to again. But what do we think? Do we even give Richmond a sniff? Because Gold Coast are playing their absolute best at the moment.
Yeah, well, look, we'll give the Tigers a little bit of a sniff, but no, I think the Gold Coast are in pristine form, and shout out to Ben Long, almost the forgotten saint there. He was one of those trade targets by the Suns. He goes over there and he's playing career best form as this really, big bodied forward. He's got great goal sense and puts a lot of pressure on, and he can run through the midfield if need be, and he can take a little bit of a hanger too. So he's been a real durable option in their forward line, and I think this is one of those years where the Suns are just finding more and more players, and they're players that are expected to stand up, like your Matt Rouse and your Noah Andersons. They're doing that, Sammy. So no, they've got match winners all over the ground, and I think the Suns are going to be too strong in this one. They are just absolutely rocketing along, and might be the only remaining. Well, they are the only remaining undefeated side in the AFL right now.
Can you believe at the end, I know it's changed since last night's game, but at the end of last round, 1 and 2 were two Queensland teams in the AFL.
Yeah, well, Sammy, I don't know if we're overly surprised. There's just been so much investment, hasn't there, in all of these northern leagues, and the fact that some of these Queensland sides are they're VFL, like they are in the VFL, or they're playing at odd levels. I mean, there's a lot of investment in those particular parts of the world. Pretty much Northern Territory. Yeah, and the Northern Territory, pretty much that's all Gold Coast territory. So it is starting to show, Sam. It'll be fascinating if the AFL ever do bring in a 20th team, and if that is going to be in the Northern Territory. I think it's going to be very hard to play games there consistently and get big crowds.
I mean, I can't remember if I mentioned on this podcast or our old show on the Sports Desk, but I've always thought that maybe the Northern Crocodiles or something could work, and you could play half your fixtures in the Northern Territory and half in far North Queensland. I think would be an interesting idea.
Right,
and
like
then we're
Cairns
pretty much Australia wide,
aren't we?
Totally national competition, and I think having 20 teams would really balance the fixture. So we'll see what happens with them.
I'm a big caller for that as well, Sam. Yeah. Just some of the best talent from the northern end or the top end, as they say. A lot of those very smart advertising up there. A little slogan: "See you in the Northern Territory." That's one of our favourite. Yeah.
Sunday we move on to 3:20 p.m. Sydney take on Port Adelaide at the SCG. Interesting, this one. Port came out and showed us what they're capable of. Their love for Ken is something else. And when they want to stand up for Ken, they did. And we've been very critical of them. And they were outstanding.
Sammy, are they the most emotionally driven team in the AFL?
I think you're spot on. I think that's exactly what they are. And it's a shame that they can't play at that top echelon like that emotionally all the week. But it shows that Ken does really have some, special because he's been there so long and he's probably been there for a lot of those players' development. And, he does have a bit of power over in that way, but it's just a shame it hasn't turned over in a final for them or something like that. So, look, can they sustain that? I don't know. I know there was a lot of emotion going into that Hawthorn clash, especially spilled over from last year. So, and then the kind of spillover at the moment where, which has all kind of been resolved in the background over the week where our podcasters came out of Willie Rioli's Instagram post. Look, I think that is a good call. Can you sustain that? I don't know. I don't know if you can come out at that top rate every week. Sydney's an interesting team at the moment. I don't think they're anywhere near their best at the moment, and they're still trying to find their way. At home, I think I have just tipped them, but not confidently because I still think what we've seen from Port is the potential that they've got, and they can get a few runs on the boards. I know, was it last season or the season before? They had this incredible run of like 7 or 8 games in a row.
They did, and a lot of close wins in that time, Sammy, and a lot away from home, and again, a lot very emotionally driven. So clearly they sustained it for that period of time there. But when it came to the finals, they were pretty flat in that first week. So yeah, I do worry about the fluctuations in form. They really haven't started well. I think everyone's been questioning this succession plan, and I think your call at the start of the season was certainly mirroring that uncertainty from the players and just the voice and who's speaking and who's taking ownership of this group. And yeah, I don't like them. They rarely work. But in saying all of that, they did get a bounce, and that was extraordinary, that scoreline. What was it, like 70-8 or something ridiculous? I mean, that was just unbelievable. And I thought Port Adelaide really used Connor Rosie well, putting him kind of in the back line. He was marking a lot of stuff, and he just his ball use was really, really good. And I think that could be a trigger that they use when he gets a heavy tag, because he hasn't seemed to handle it too well. But yeah, I thought that was a really masterful move from Port. I'm going to tip him in this one. I kind of agree with what you said around the Swans. I just, Tom Papley's out. He's a real barometer. Amadi's out in that forward line. I don't know, even if Logan McDonald's in there. They just... Yeah, they've got a couple of holes around the ground, and I am concerned that they just haven't recaptured their best form yet. Even in that win against Fremantle, they weren't exactly setting the house on fire. So I'm going to tip Port in this one, but yeah, not my most confident tip in the world, Sammy boy.
Making me second guess myself. A few changes: Lewis Malikan, Justin McInerney, Aaron Francis, and Ben Patton. come in on the extended Joel Amadi out, as you mentioned. Port Adelaide just named ins Jeremy Finlayson's, Rory Atkins and Darcy Byrne-Jones.
Rory Atkins. Oh, my gosh. There's a name.
So, yeah, I'm going to stick with Sydney.
Good man.
The SCG.
Two guns.
They want to get to some sort of form. Remember, we have seen their best over the last couple of years. So it's still in their DNA.
And Sammy, just quickly on the
yes.
SCG, that's another top ground for me in Australia. I haven't seen an AFL game at Adelaide Oval, but cricket is beautiful there, particularly twilight. So I'd have to put the SCG right up there. There's some beautiful stands there. It's lovely.
I have to disagree.
I
did go there. And I know Carlton did get smacked there, and we went there, and it was a horrible game, probably one of the worst games I watched. So that doesn't help the cause.
Definitely not.
But I didn't like the hodgepodge of all the stands that weren't connected. It just looked like someone slapped some buildings together with some glue and some blue tack. Which, sorry to anyone in Sydney that's probably offended all there. But I
think I was just watching the sunset too much near where the ladies' pavilion is. But yeah, no, Sammy, it's it's a bit of a chunky stadium.
Okay, 7:30 Sunday night. Really interesting one, this one. The Western Bulldogs take on St Kilda, Marvel Stadium. Marcus Bontempelli back in. Oscar Baker, Jed Buslinger. What a name, Jed Buslinger. Bustling around. Harvey Gallagher out, James Harms. St Kilda named at the moment Ari Schoenmaker, Liam Henry and Harry Boyd. Jeez. Bulldogs would be ruining their game against the Lions that gather around that they gave up their lead. St Kilda still managing some decent form, even though they have lost against the Giants, but they've been playing pretty well over the last month. So I think this is going to be a real firecracker, this one. How good is it, though, to have Marcus Bontempelli back for the Dogs?
I love the Bond. I mean, he is the poster boy of the AFL. Yep. He's just the perfect specimen. Such a good, down-to-earth guy. Plays with his heart. Just got every skill possible that you need. You could put him anywhere on the ground and he'd perform. You put him in a coach's box, he'd perform. You know, he's just... He is a legend, and he is exactly what the Bulldogs need right now. And I just think that little bit of extra class in the midfield and just, a barometer up forward that they can throw there to do something, he is exactly what they need, Sammy.
I would say up until this point, and yes, they've had some up and downs, but I think they've done tremendously well with the stock that they lost. I think we said that earlier in the year that they'd be probably a bit worse off than where they are now. So with this extra bit of talent boost coming back into the side, dangerous prospect.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think they quashed all the rumours about what was the ridiculous rumour this week?
It's linked to
Beveridge.
Melbourne. Yeah, Beveridge linked to Melbourne. I mean, come on, play on.
Water off a duck's back for Luke Beveridge. I almost said Michael Beveridge.
Frothy Beveridge.
So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of Saints game plan is Ross the boss going to bring to this one.
God, it's always very hard. I tell you what, Adam Kingsley had a good game plan against Macrae. I thought Jack Macrae just wasn't as influential, and I think probably the Bulldogs will be looking at something similar to that as well. He's just been able to run around, get his own footy. Obviously, Jack Sinclair's another really great ball user. Nazaya Wanganeen-Malira has been incredible this season, Sam. So I would imagine that the Bulldogs are going to have some game plans to try and quell the influence of those three players, because they are real fire starters for the Saints. And I think as for the Saints, I think it will be interesting to see how they use some of their players like Winhager, like does he get the job on Bont or, another midfielder like Sanders? It'll be a fascinating matchup, and I just love these two teams playing each other. I just feel like all throughout history, there's just been some great clashes between these two clubs.
And I feel like they're in
great.
Similar position.
Yes.
Fan base size and
historically.
And kind of being on that level, and then having Marvel as their home, both home, having that as their home deck. So it'd be interesting to see. But Dogs too strong for me. But
agree. Yes,
not not as confident as maybe.
I think the Doggies get a Bont bounce, and that's going to be my little tip there.
Okay. Easter Monday, 3:20 p.m. Oh, now this clash has forever been in the AFL calendar. And over the years, we've had some crazy games with this Easter Monday clash. But I would have to say this is probably looking like the biggest one there has been in a fair while. Would you say?
Absolutely agree with you, Sam. It's been a long time since both clubs have been up and about like this. And there's been some surprise performances here and there with one team being up and the other team being a little bit down. But no, this is a fixture. Whether it's a sunny day or whether it's absolutely bucketing down rain, we've had some absolute thrillers. These two clubs do not like each other, Sam. No. And the Kennett curse history, we know all about that. And it's just, I love it. I think footy folklore is brilliant. And this is a huge clash. And as we know, Hawthorn, they're no longer, indestructible, and the Cats are now starting to reach some very, very good form. Yeah. They're running riot. So this is a mouth-watering clash. Well. He is, forward line's his, and Jeremy Cameron as well is really demanding the pill. And, Basilenka, Bailey Smith, he can keep putting up that rude finger, mate. It's helping him.
So, and what would you say? Yes, we've known Hawthorn is this really young side. Geelong, an older established side who have been with this before, up and down form. Are they more vulnerable at the moment because of their, or do you think they can bounce back pretty quickly? How easy it for them compared to an older side to get a level head and return back to form?
It's a really good question, Sam. These are the kind of questions for a younger side who is expected to be a major competitor. These are the kind of psychological battles they're going to have to go through. Without Will Day, the Hawks have not had a great record. I think they're 2-9. So, trying to fill in the gaps for a player of that caliber, and still get those contributions from their older players like Luke Bruce and Jack Gunston, but still, have consistent performances from their younger players. This is a great question you pose, Sam, because we're going to find out, I think, a lot more about the Hawks. You expect Geelong to get consistency in their performances, and that's what we've had for the best part of 10 years. The Hawks, this is a real big test for them. So I'm going to be really curious to see how they play.
Last time out, it was 51 points to Geelong way. And remember, we had the big lightning delay. I was there, and they they couldn't get through the last quarter.
It was ugly, Sam.
I've tipped the older side in this. I've tipped Geelong.
Yeah, I'm going to have to 100% agree with you on this. I just think, just based on that performance, based on how well Geelong are going, it'd take a pretty incredible performance from the Hawks, and who knows, Hollywood Hawks might be out to play, and they might do something pretty incredible here and make Geelong look second rate, but I just can't see it coming off that performance, and I think the Cats too good, Sammy.
Well, that is round 6, a mouth-watering round ahead, a few good games. But yeah, it's just one of those as a neutral, because everyone's got those big, the Carlton Collingwood lockdown in the calendar, Anzac Day lockdown in the calendar. Yep. This is another one that's up there, and it just really good for all footy fans. So very, very exciting weekend ahead. Happy Easter to you, Michael. As having some hot cross buns over there. What's the tradition in America for Easter?
Oh yeah, Sammy. I've actually spoken to a few people that have already taken off time for for Easter, and it's like midweek here. So,
yes,
they're huge on it. A lot of people not eating meat. So it's huge here, Sammy. And, Americans, they celebrate everything. A lot of blow up Easter eggs and massive decorations, kind of like Halloween and Christmas
Really?
in front yards. I kid you not.
They got bunny rabbits.
They got bunny rabbits. They've got these massive paws.
Fantastic. Wow.
They've got they've got the American flag. Can't take that down. And then you've got happy Easter flags as well. And some are a little bit more religious with the big cross. And there's mate. It is a sight. It is a sight. It's everything, mate. I tell you what, they had Easter eggs on sale probably the day after Christmas here, I think.
Really? Well, that is a bit like here with the hot cross buns. Pretty. So enjoy your Easter. We'll be back for round 7 next week. We're almost getting to the middle of the season already. It's just absolutely flying. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying up to date within the ballpark. Catch the content across our social media, TikTok, and of course, you can watch the full-length podcast on YouTube as well. So thank you very much for listening. I've been Sam Hennett. That has been Michael Sopel.
Sammy, absolute pleasure. Go the footy.
For all your news, reviews, and previews this AFL season,
Listen to In the Ballpark. Download the podcast now.